cup at a time. Tea time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time. Making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. Yeah. Tea time.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz. That's right, we are here with a rescheduled tea time because it is Tuesday and all tea times are done on Thursday unless it's a rescheduled tea time. But tonight I have the incredible Amanda Elo'esh in the house and we will be sharing some strong TEA tonight. So before we get started, we're going to do all of the good stuff. We're going to jump in, do the disclaimer, do a little intro into her bio, and we're going to get her in here and we're going to spill some TEA. That's right. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your glass of wine because you don't need to drink tea on Tea Time with Miss Liz because tonight we serve What Is Your Tea? So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz myself is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith. However, may bring forward dialogue and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussion for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to know that this show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in tonight's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that tonight's show is not made for you, I will see you at a later date and a later time. And again, all tea times are on Thursday unless it's a rescheduled tea time. So now let me give you a little bit about Amanda Elo'esh. She's sitting in the back of the studio, and we're going to do something a little different tonight on Tea Time. So be sure to tune in. Share this tea time and get it out there. So Amanda Elo'esh is your quicker, waker, upper, and has been receiving visions and guidance for these powerful times of uncertainty and transformation for 40 years. She's passionate and pursues academic and mystical international, I'm not saying that right, to help you access your inalienable. I'm sorry, guys. My tongue is just twisting tonight. Sovereignty. I'm going to get her to mention that all when she gets in here. By eliminating painful subconscious patterns and cores, wounds keeping you limited and stuck. She received her master's degrees in counseling, psychology, and expressive arts therapy, as well as her certification in integrative medicine guided in imaginary and expressive arts from California Institute of Integral Studies, and has shared her gifts at California Pacific Medical Center's Institute for Health and Healing and Marin General Hospital. She's the author of the Unlock Your Success Codes and the Go Ask Alice Oracle and Tea Party game. That's right, tea parties. and we're on Tea Time. So to get the full bio of Amanda, go check out Miss Liz's Facebook page. It is all there, and also on my LinkedIn and all of those other good platforms. So let's get Amanda in here and let's serve some good, strong TEA.
Yay. Thanks
Welcome,
for having
Amanda.
me. Yeah, I gave you a bit of a tongue twister bio.
I know, right? My tongue is just twisting. I struggle sometimes with those words, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'll just get the guests to say it correctly. So for anything that I've said wrong, please accept my apology and share a little bit more about who you are, Amanda, and all of that good stuff that I haven't mentioned.
Mm. Well, one of the words that you struggled with is one I've had to practice. It's inalienable sovereignty, and that's really been my life's mission. I have been blessed with the gift of kind of seeing beyond the third dimension and being able to connect with Source, God, Creator, however you want to put that label, or the way that you connect with it for yourself, and been able to see kind of a bigger picture around humanity. And while it's been a gift, it's also been a challenge, because I've wanted to know, how can I help other people? Because when we don't have an awareness of our multidimensional selves, we know, whether you believe in God or whether you're an atheist, we know that we are part of a multidimensional reality. And when we have better understanding of our interaction with the multiverse, the multidimensional realities, then we have more freedom, we have more power. And when we're not aware of that, then we are disconnected from our super senses and from what we're capable of in this lifetime. And so I've been really passionate my whole life about how to help humans, including myself, to become more empowered, to access that inalienable sovereignty, to manifest more powerfully, to feel a greater sense of connection, to feel more joy and more ease in life. And so that's basically been my life mission, and it's expressed itself in multiple ways. And I've pursued education academically with a master's degree in counseling psychology and expressive arts therapy, and was able to do my practicum in hospitals, and currently doing volunteer work with a cancer support group at St. Helena Hospital here in California. And then I've also been initiated into multiple indigenous medicine and healing practices, including Mayan shamanism, Shipibo shamanism, and Native American medicine path rites ceremonies. And so I started a nonprofit. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary this past weekend, along with Spring, for Living Wisdom. And that Living Wisdom, really, the name comes from helping people to access their own living wisdom, their own limitless selves. And we provide safe and sacred plant medicine ceremonies that, again, science has come up to support the immense efficacy of healing with plant medicines for things like depression and anxiety and addiction and PTSD, trauma, and end-of-life issues. And so we've just been having really profound results. And then I work one-on-one with people internationally to do deep work with a process that I call subconscious accessory patterning, to really let go of old trauma and old limiting beliefs and ideas about, like, the self-saboteur, the negative self-talk, the inner gremlins that we tend to have, how to deprogram them so that they're set for success instead of self-sabotage. And so that's just a little niblet.
So, Amanda, how old were you when you realized that you could do these things?
I was just a child. And it was really profound. I definitely didn't have words for it. I didn't totally understand. Nobody was really talking about it. And it was ineffable. I was connecting with Creator, which is beyond words. And so a lot of things were kind of like, help me to understand, but I couldn't really speak them. And I've just been really passionate. I knew that it gave me certain advantages. Like I was put in a program for gifted kids early on, which is what helped me to start developing, working with consciousness and the subconscious and creativity and the imagination. And I just started developing, working with my own consciousness and healing and how we can heal ourselves, like placebos. You know, when I learned about placebos, I'm like, oh, okay, there is something in this human realm that we accept, that we don't really understand why it works, but it's this part of this magic that is available to us. And so I've been really passionately pursuing that since I was 8, but then academically was put into a program when I was 9 or 10.
Oh, wow. So is it like a special group home, like a special?
No, it was
Did you
just
move away
a
from
special
family?
No, I was able to stay with my family. It was a part of public school, actually. Just
Oh,
happened to be in the right place at the right time in Utah in the early 70s. Had incredible access to some special programs for kids who were considered gifted. It was called Horizons. And then when I got out of elementary school, there was another program that was called Educational Learning Potential, ELP,
oh,
and
the ESP.
ELP,
Oh,
Educational Learning Potential. And I was put into high school instead of going to junior high, and took high school classes and then other special academic courses. And so very lucky to have had the opportunity to start developing and having some structure, even though it didn't focus on the spiritual side. I excelled academically, and I could see that there were ways that what I was tuning into gave me advantages. And I also knew from a very early age that I am here in this lifetime to help other people. And so I've been really curious, how can I help other people with my gifts,
yeah.
because everybody has their own values, their own challenges, their own abilities, their own talents, their own life purpose. And so, how do we honor the uniqueness of each individual person and help them to declutter from the, weird survival patterns and scarcity programming from ancestors, from caretakers, from schools, from culture, from religion, from whatever, that limits our ideas about ourselves and the world around us. And so that's what I've been pursuing, like I said, academically, and then through different spiritual teachers, mostly indigenous wisdom lineages.
And where does the name Wisdom Living come from? Is
Living
it?
wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was meditating at my altar and tuning in to, how can I be of service? And what I was told is that my gift is to create the safe and sacred containers and to help people to access their own unique connection with source, so that they have their own, like, wisdom is alive.
Yep.
You open up a book, and even if it's lovely, it's limited. It doesn't change. And the universe is constantly changing and growing. Life is about constant change. We're always learning new things, just like the universe constantly expanding. And so it was like, instead of teaching people a template, your mission is to help people to get that direct access to their own deep wisdom. Because something that may, like diet, if you just look at something as simple as diet, but then use it as a metaphor for our souls, like some things are beautiful, helpful medicine, and some things are poison, and so some teachings, like say from a religion, they may work for some people, but they may not work for everybody. And so being able to tune in and like really know, like, this is my relationship with my creator, and this is what I'm being asked to do, instead of what is somebody else telling me is best for me. When you can really rely on that, there's so much empowerment in it, so much freedom, so much sense of liberation. when you make decisions, when you for your life, whether it's diet, whether it's who you go into business with, what you do for a living, who you go into a relationship with. All of those things are these decisions that we make, and they're heavily influenced usually by a lot of things. And when we can clear out the static and really listen to Creator, then we have a clear idea for ourselves of what's wisdom for us. So that's what living wisdom really is about.
So we have a question here for you, Amanda. They're asking, do you hear the sounds or the energies?
It's I like to talk about super senses. So we have 5 senses that we're aware of. Other indigenous cultures have up to like 23 senses that they work with, and we've been kind of limited. It's like we've been disconnected from it. We are getting information all the time, and the way that we translate it is unique. And for me, sometimes I feel things. Sometimes it's just a direct knowing. Sometimes like I hear something, like it's clear words, but it's not like I'm hearing voices, but it's like a clear voice speaking to me. And sometimes I get visual metaphors that really show me, okay, this is what's going on. Oh, I get it. It's very clear. So it comes in a lot of different ways.
So you get a bit of both, right? So you get the sound and the energy?
A lot, all of it. and it's sometimes it's easier to describe visually. Sometimes it's easier to describe audibly. Sometimes it's easier to describe as felt sense. But I love that question.
And we have another question here.
Yeah.
Have you ever spoken to somebody who has passed?
No, not particularly. I don't channel that way.
Okay.
But I have felt like I have a spirit brother who I know that we were together in many lifetimes, and he was a teacher for me as well. And he passed away several years ago, and there are many times when I can feel his presence, and I get strong. Like not long after he passed, I went on a hike, and there was a beautiful owl just on the trail, like on the ground. And I knew that was him coming to visit me, but no, haven't had like a dialogue with anybody who's passed.
We have another question here. You mentioned that you work with healing for trauma. So what process do you go about for that?
Yeah, I love that question, because so many people have experienced trauma, whether it's, just the normal dysfunction of a family, or serious trauma. We all tend to have it. And what I find is that these traumatized parts of ourselves, it's like when that experience happened, especially in childhood, it's like that part of us gets locked in the trauma, and it's always playing the loop. And sometimes it's very quiet, and we can push it back into the, into the corners and carry on as though it's not there. And then when it gets triggered, it's right up in our face, but it's basically stuck in this repeat loop. And so what there's a process that I can't say I created it. It was more like Spirit said, pay attention to how you're healing your own trauma, and then show other people how to do it. And I feel like it was a gift from God. And I call it subconscious success repatterning. So when your system is in trauma, what's happening is the conscious mind loves predictability, and it's always looking for patterns that it can predict what's going to happen. And then in the subconscious, that trauma is on loop, and it's like an algorithm. It's set to repeat itself over and over because that's what it's stuck in. That's what trauma is. It's just stuck in that loop. And then the conscious mind loves predictability. So it's listening to that loop, and then it's looking for ways to identify that trauma happening again. And then we unconsciously end up manifesting things that continue to look and feel like that old trauma. And so the way to stop it is to bring healing and resource to the actual core of the trauma. So that means going into the subconscious, which not everybody knows how to do. And it's very tricky to try to do on your own, but to bring love and kindness and compassion and healing to that part that's locked in that repeat loop. So I work with guided meditation. I work with somatic awareness because you can usually feel it in your body, heart, anxiety or clenched jaw or sweating or all kinds of ways that it manifests. And so I use those physical tells and guided imagery, which is something I've been working with since I was a little kid, to go in and bring love. It's like bring healing. If you imagine like you saw a deer caught in a barbed wire fence, right? It's thrashing around, and it's making the wound worse. It doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't know what it's caught in. It doesn't know how to get out. And how would you approach that deer? With a lot of gentleness. You wouldn't go in and like just try to be rough. Yeah. And this is what we do with subconscious accessory patterning. We go in very, very gentle, very, very slow, so that that part can stop looping and calm down and trust that conscious approach of the healing support. And then it gets that healing. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I get it. I'll calm down while you pull the barbed wire off. And now I'm free and now I can go.
So I'm guessing this is a comment. They're saying it's almost like the process of an orchestra building.
Ooh, I love that.
I've never thought of it like that, the universe and the patterns and all that as music, right? As the flow of music.
Yeah.
So
that's really beautiful.
They're saying it's the buildup of the orchestra learning the new tune. So as a practice. So it's like you said with the deer, right? You don't go in and you boom, 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 boom with the drums right away.
Yeah,
you kind of come off with the soft stuff, the little track.
It's all about the treble, no bass.
Up, right? Right? But I've never thought of it like that, like the transformation of healing as the orchestra of music,
Mm-hmm. I love that.
It's really beautiful.
Sound is actually very healing. We know that matter is really a relative perception. And we know that everything that's physical, is actually a bunch of energy particles vibrating at certain frequencies. And sound, we do sound healing as a part of our ceremonies. And I've done sound healing for a long time. And those sound healing ceremonies are really profoundly healing. They shift things for people. And so it's a good metaphor, but it's also literally a beautiful way for healing.
Yeah. Well, and it's the music and the patterns and flows, right? Because you said like you do the sound therapy.
Yeah.
So you start off as a soft ring and then louder and louder, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just
beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like, thank you for the comment.
Yeah.
So I want to get into your tea, and then we're going to do a little switch up. We're going to do a lot of different things here. We're going to talk about tea parties because Amanda has this cool tea party that's coming up. So we're going to talk about that as well. Yeah. So if you have any questions or comments, you can send them into the chat box here, or you can send them directly to Miss Liz in my DM, and I can pull them up as we're having this open discussion tonight. So Amanda, if I ask you what your tea is tonight, what is your tea that you're serving us?
The tea I'm serving you is taking everything as is.
So do you want to get a little bit into?
Yes, I will share. I've spoken a lot about this, about approaching life as if everything was a gift and trusting, especially if you believe in God, but even if you don't, that there's some greater organizing principle that created life, started it, will continue long after we're gone. And everything that we are thinking, we manifest what we're making up, basically. We're making up meaning about everything. We choose to assign meaning to everything that happens to us. And if you approach everything in your life as though it was a gift, take everything that shows up and accept what it is instead of fighting with it about what it is, and being curious about how to discover what the gift is, if it's hidden to look at it as a treasure hunt, you know. And this is what I find with the work that I do, is most of the time these painful patterns are often these really beautiful gifts, talents, gems, qualities that a person has inside of them that was attacked, that was traumatized, you know, and now it's stuck in something. If I can swear, I call it a shit pearl.
Absolutely.
It's like
sometimes we have to
pearl,
throw the shit
right?
out there, right?
A pearl is a little agitation, you know, it's this little irritating thing that gets covered in something beautiful. But a shit pearl is something really, really beautiful about us that gets covered in a lot of shit, the trauma. And then we forget, we get disconnected, and then all we experience is the trauma, is the hardness. And then we end up adding more layers to the shit pearl. And so my work is, what if you assumed that everything that happened in your life was actually a gift, and your goal, your calling was to uncover and discover what is the gift? And so with the healing of the trauma, it's like, let's clean off all those shitty layers and get down to the core of it. And always I'll say always, in my own healing path, and always with my clients, there is something really beautiful and priceless and valuable at the center.
And I think we all have a shit pearl in us.
Oh yeah. If you're doing any kind of negative self-talk or sabotaging yourself, then there's something in there to explore and discover.
And I really like your tea, you know, because it's so simple, taking everything as is, you know. Sometimes we look so hard at things that it's right in front of our eyes. The answer is right there, you know, and life is a gift. So I want to get into, you have a tea party coming up. So if you want to
Yes.
share a little bit about that. So
Yeah, I'll share about what the tea party is based on. I'm hosting the first one, in-person one since COVID hit, is April 17th in San Francisco, California, at Crown and Crumpet in the after hours. We're doing a special tea party game. When I was getting my master's in counseling psychology at California Institute of Integral Studies, this is some of the tongue twister I gave you. I did a workshop on dreams and how to use dreams for deep inner understanding. And something that came through, inspiration from doing that workshop, it was very magical. I won't go into that whole story, but was to write an oracle based on Alice in Wonderland. And so it's an oracle, you know, if you're familiar with an oracle, if you do angel cards or anything like that, you draw a card, and then you look up the meaning of that card. You usually think about a question or a circumstance in your life that you want information about, and then you pick a card and you look up the meaning. And so I wrote this oracle based on the characters and the symbols and the different circumstances, like going down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland. And then while I wrote it, it was like, oh, it's also a tea party game. Because if it's Alice in Wonderland, you got to have a tea party as a part of it. And that's one of the reasons I'm here is to have a tea party with you. So you said I could do a little card reading. So I'm going to have
absolutely
everybody put your breath on it, breathe into it, and think of your question. And I'll pick the card. Ooh. Queen Alice. Ooh. I love this one. So let me read. Would you like the oracle and the tea party instructions?
Absolutely.
Oh, of course.
I'm a double dipper.
I love it. I like your style, Miss Liz. Queen Alice. I just drew this. I drew a card for our 5-year nonprofit birthday, and this was the card that I picked for that one too. It's my favorite of the deck. So it's about promotion, accomplishment, upgrade, celebration, and advancement. Ooh. Alice bounds into the last square, throwing herself down to have a little rest and immediately finds a golden crown upon her head. She does have to pass the final exam, but it's gibberish. And before it's all worked out, the red and white queen are calling her, Your Majesty. As the other queens nap, Alice takes a little walk only to find a doorway labeled Queen Alice, all caps. Inside, Alice finds a feast and guests all celebrating Alice's new advancement. It's as if they were just waiting for her to show up. It's as if all of this had been the plan from the start, becoming a queen, that is. Even though Alice is surprised at her sudden rise to royalty, well, I never expected I should be a queen so soon. It's important to recognize all that she's been through to get here. First of all, she took that courageous leap down the rabbit hole to begin with. She did a great deal of growing and shrinking as well, had all sorts of encounters that, though they may have been disconcerting and disorienting, she came through no worse for the wear. She held her own with the bloodthirsty Queen of Hearts, engaged quite charmingly with a disappearing cat, swiftly escaped the dangers of the large puppy, rescued the baby pig from being butchered by the hot-tempered cook, drew the line with the Mad Hatter and his crazy entourage at the tea party, and held her own quite impressively with the multiple kings and queens with whom she rendezvoused. Yes, Alice has most definitely earned this right, and it may well be that you too have earned a promotion of sorts. In a way, this royal reward has been here all along, just waiting for you to claim it. What it is exactly may be obvious, and if it is, then allow yourself to really enjoy it. Take a moment to look back at all that you've gone through to get here. Remember who you were before you jumped down the rabbit hole, and recognize the regal being you are now. If your upgrade is not so apparent, then take a moment to check in and find what treasures are sitting in front of you. This is kind of like the ship pearl. What celebratory feast is laid out just for you? And each of these come with at least one meditation. And this is the meditation. If you're not aware of what your special reward is, in a quiet place, allow your breath to bring you into a sense of deep calm. Ask yourself what you hold within you that is worthy of being celebrated at this time. What challenges have you survived? And what skills and wisdom have you gained as a result of your successful navigation of the madness of Wonderland? Remember that having challenges and running into obstacles isn't a sign of failure. It is only proof that you have been on the training course for something better. No muscle is developed, no talent fine-tuned, no wisdom gained without some sort of confrontation and work. And the more you face, the more you stand to gain. So take this moment to find the treasure that may have been hidden in all of those battles and barriers that are now behind you. Really allow yourself to revel in how far you've come.
Wow. And where can we get this book?
I am just finishing up with a printer and the website to get it. You can buy it very soon, but you'll have to stay tuned. Reach out to me, get on my mailing list. And this is one thing I love about this. So this is the Oracle side, and if you flip it over, then it starts the tea party section. So I'm gonna do the tea party part as well, and hopefully people can add in. They can play the tea party game with us. So now I'm looking up the Queen of Hearts on the tea party side of the book. Don't pretend you haven't imagined it. What would you do? What new laws, decrees, national holidays, international treaties, or worldwide scandals would you manifest if you were queen, king, or general commander-in-chief? Take a moment to share with one of your neighbors and then listen to what they have to say. So that's my question for you, Miss Liz. What kind of scandals or decrees or laws would you pass if you were queen of the world?
Oh my goodness. What laws would I pass? Ooh, that's a good one, Amanda. The law of truth.
Ooh.
The law of truth hurts. And I think we need the law of pain in order to change.
Good kind of pain.
Releasing trauma, releasing that heaviness So not coming in, like you said, like with the deer, like on the fence and all that, not going in and just tearing it and putting fear, coming
Yeah.
in a different way of sharing the pain and releasing it. So I think by sharing the truth, we don't come at it like full force and say, boom, we're bulldozers here. We come in and we share that truth in a way that we can change and create solutions.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I would, anybody who's tuned in, if you'd like to add in what you would do if you were king, queen, commander in chief of the world. For me, I think I would do everything in my power to make sure that nobody went hungry, nobody was unhoused, and that all of the resources of the world were shared in a way that was respectful of the earth, respectful of all life, basically, just really treating all life in a very reverent and respectful way. So the humans and animals and plants all got treated in a good way, and that all the resources were used to elevate everyone's life.
Well, we do have a comment here. Somebody, I'm guessing a male, would like to be a king of weather, releasing the storms in a more peaceful way.
Mm, yeah, there have been a lot of big ones that have taken a lot. Yeah, caused a lot of hard.
Well, it's almost kind of like Mother Nature, right? So we need a Father Nature who comes in and just kind of
He's
calls
signing
the
up. He's
storm,
signing up. King Nature.
right? You just never know what's out there.
Nice. Yeah, you can come over here and shine a little sun. We've had a lot of rain out here.
Yeah,
A lot
we've had
of,
snow and rain, and it's just sloppy weather. We need a king of nature.
all right. I'll vote for that.
So Amanda, a little bit more into this tea party because you like to dress up. I've done my
I do.
research, and when you wear a tea hat, what does it represent?
Well, I have a big hat. When I wear a tea hat, I mean, it says "Make tea, not war" on the back of it.
Oh, okay.
I should have gotten my tea hat. It's very tinkly. It has a key and a little drink me bottle, and it gets very clangy with with all the sound equipment. But I mean, I love to dress up because it helps me to step outside of my everyday Amanda Elo'esh self and to really step into an archetypal character, you know? So I like to dress for dress for the job I want to have, you know? So like for the tea parties, I like to dress really silly and colorful and playful. And I get very silly and colorful and playful when I MC the parties. When I dress for ceremony, I dress in a more goddessy, priestessy way, and it helps me to tune into my more sacred self.
So, do you know any of the history of why people dress up for tea parties?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, it's probably colonial and not really the best, but we're we're gonna just let you know. I think it's great to, you know, be your most fabulous self. It doesn't have to be anything expensive, but you know, sometimes we have, you know, it's like we keep ourselves quiet, you know, behind the scenes. Sometimes it can be really helpful to be as fabulous as you can possibly be and have permission to just be your most amazing, brilliant self. So I don't know what the history is, but what I want to create and what I create at the tea parties is permission to be super bright, super creative, fabulous flamingos, tall poppies, you know,
Well, it's
brilliant.
almost like the Alice in Wonderland movie, right? Where it was all like these fun, weird characters, like
Yes,
nothing made sense. It was all winky and wonky. Uh,
yes.
and I'm going to guess that Alice in Wonderland is one of your favorite movies.
None of the movies are as exciting as the actual book for me,
Oh,
but
you like the book?
they're all fun. But I like lived experience. I like embodiment. I like real people interaction versus watching something on a screen. There have been a lot of great attempts at it. A lot of different versions that are
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah, there's been a lot of different versions. I actually like the oldest one, the original
that
Alice
black
in
and white
Wonderland,
one
the
wasn't.
black
Who
and
was in
white.
it?
And then
But
she
like
falls, and then I think
Gary
that was when
Cooper
they
was
first
in
came
it.
into color, because half the movie's black and white, and then she falls into the rabbit hole, and it turns into a color land, right? So it kind of brought
Oh,
in. Maybe it might be the
I
second
need to
one
find that
then.
one. Yeah, the very first one has Gary Cooper and W.C. Fields. It's super, super old. I'll have to
Yeah,
find. There have been a lot of different versions. I definitely, my partner has two kids, an 8 and an 11-year-old, and we sometimes play the tea party game at dinner time and stuff. And we've watched a couple, the newest one, and then the Disney one. But we need to kind of look at some of the older ones together
yeah.
again. It's been
The
a
one with
while.
Johnny Depp, I find it's too colorful for me. It's too overageous, like too overact, I
Over the
find.
top.
Yeah, for me.
Hmm.
I just think the characters kind of throw me off. So, yeah,
And
I
it's
like the
it's
one
a
where,
very different story. It's kind of like fan fiction of Alice in Wonderland.
yeah,
It's not really the actual story.
yeah, that's how I feel too. So now I want to get into some personal questions that I've asked
Yeah.
all my guests. Your favorite color and your one word. Do you remember what you gave me?
I don't. I mean, it's hard for me to pick a favorite color because but I do my ongoing favorite color is like the brilliant fluorescent like peachy pink of sunset.
Yeah, so the colors that you gave me was saffron yellow,
Mm,
gold deep cherry red.
mm. See, it changes all the time.
And
I'm
that's what it
a
is, right?
changing
We
person.
change as we feel, like our energies change, and our days change in that as well. And that's
Yeah.
why I ask all my guests these questions: is what's your favorite color? Because maybe when you come on tea time, it's not your favorite color
Yeah.
anymore. It might be a different color, but that day that I asked you, that was your favorite color.
Nice. Yeah, those are good. I for me it's like what is it the color of? If there may be a blue I don't normally like, but I'll see it in a flower, like, oh my God, that's my favorite color right now. It's so beautiful. Or the colors of a sunset, if they were just on paper, it might not be something that's that appealing. So for me, it's about what is the full experience I'm having. The context, I guess, is a better way of putting it.
And the word that you gave me was visionary. Why that?
Mm.
Why that word?
So I think that's really been what I've experienced my whole life is receiving visions about myself and what I'm here to do, and has guided my life. And I love my life, and I love what I do. I love the work that I do, and I love all the people that my partner and I are helping. And that's been my vision for a long time. And so it served me.
So we have a question here for you, Amanda.
Yeah.
What is your favorite ceremony?
The one that I get to be in. Whether I'm facilitating or, getting to be taken care of in a ceremony. Uh, with Living Wisdom, we do several different kinds of ceremonies every month. We offer sound healing as a part of all of our ceremonies. We just did a cacao and sound healing ceremony that was so heart opening. Cacao is ceremonial chocolate, and it's so heart opening and so healing and very accessible. Most people can get with ceremonial chocolate. And then we also offer plant medicine ceremonies. One Saturday a month, we work with Wachuma. It's also known as San Pedro, which is
Okay.
a cactus. It's also very heart opening and brings in a lot of clarity, and it really helps to get rid of a lot of that funk I was talking about. It clears away all the shittiness, if you let it. And then once a month, we do an acacia and Syrian rue ceremony. And some scholars believe that acacia, that was the burning bush, that Moses had that connection with God. It has DMT in it, which is called the spirit molecule,
Okay.
which many people believe that ancient scholars, visionaries, spiritual leaders, that they were actually working with this sacred plant to help them to commune with source. And I love it because it's helping me to remember how I did it as a child, tuning in and getting information. Profound, beautiful, helping to go beyond dualistic thinking, expanding consciousness. It has similar chemical compounds to the ayahuasca brew, but it's more sustainable and local.
So we have another question here for you, Amanda, about the indigenous healing medicine. How did you learn about it, and is it done on sacred land?
It has been, and yes, we are on sacred land. This land is Wapo land. All land is sacred, honestly, if we treat it that way, and it should be, in my opinion. All land is sacred. I was initiated into Mayan shamanism on Deer Mountain, which is close to Mount Shasta, very sacred land, by a Mayan shaman. I studied with Martin Prechtel, who's also a Mayan shaman in New Mexico, sacred land there. I was initiated into Shipibo shamanism, working with ayahuasca in the Amazon, definitely sacred land there. And was given my Huachuma ministry through Medicine Path Native American Church in Berkeley, California, in a dome where they no longer, since the pandemic, but they used to offer regular pipe ceremonies, chanupa ceremonies, and medicine ceremonies. And then I've been in a lot of different sweat lodges and things like that. And I would say all the land is sacred. And I'm on Wapo land here, and we're always honoring the ancestors of this land.
So you do a lot with the Mother Earth and the energies and the grounding, right?
Absolutely.
So we have a question here. I'm guessing they checked out your bio, and they want to know about Hungary? Yeah, Hungary.
I was invited to speak at the Ozora Festival, which is a psychedelic festival in Hungary. And it was a lot of amazing music and speakers and performances. And I was invited to speak there. I didn't really get to see much of Hungary. I was picked up at the airport and shuttled to this big, beautiful piece of land that's dedicated just to this festival that happens, as far as I know, just once a year, and had a beautiful time, met people from all over the world, and got to speak about manifestation and prosperity.
And they also are asking about India.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was invited. I was doing a world tour, traveling with my partner, and was invited to speak at Auroville, India, which is a conscious community started by Sri Aurobindo, and his partner is Ma. They have this beautiful temple that's literally covered in gold. And they have these little sub-villages of communities that have different missions. Like one of them was planting 1 million trees, and one might be, and one was like, we're growing spirulina. One was, we're teaching mantras in Sanskrit and kirtan. And so I was invited to one of the villages, little sub communities, and got to teach there about working with guided meditation. I got to teach a lot of doctors on working with guided meditation for healing and for pain reduction and risk management, and then also did Reiki attunement 1 and 2 there.
So you have this statement here on your bio. It says, live your noble purpose and prosper. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us what that means to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is, comes up so much with people coming to our ceremonies, especially people who have done like the traditional job, especially the, professional and successful people. Like, I just don't feel satisfied, and that's when we do what I was talking about before. Like, we get influenced in our decisions, and we make these decisions based on external influences instead of listening to what am I really here to do. And when you treat, this whole way that we're doing our lives of like money and even though I, so appreciate being able to talk to you, but, like so much involved with like the internet and online and transactional business has distracted us and made us forget what we're actually here to do, in my opinion, which is to remember that we are sacred human beings and to treat our lives as sacred. And when you do that and you really take the risk of honoring what your noble purpose is and learning how do you even discover what that is? That's learning how to heal the trauma and heal all the static and really listen, that living wisdom. Then you get the instructions. Oh, I need to help this person. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, this is my gift and this is how I'm supposed to be sharing it. If all of us were doing that, money wouldn't be an issue. People wouldn't be going hungry. People wouldn't be going unhoused because we would all be doing what brings life to us. Because when you're doing what you're here, what you're meant to do, your whole soul comes alive. When you're trying to push yourself into, the square peg in the round hole or whatever, it doesn't feel good. And the body, the mind, the spirit, depression, anxiety, physical pain, those are all expressions of us being out of alignment. And so when you come into alignment and understand what your true purpose is and start doing it, regardless of what the external world says, then you thrive and you attract, the universe is like, oh my gosh, she's in alignment. He's in alignment. I want to support that. Everything that you need shows up because it's resonating with you. It's the law of the universe. It's how things work, And so that's
it's
what
back to that music and the orchestra again,
yes,
right? The flow.
Yes. Like if you have music, if you have certain instruments that are attuned to each other and you start vibrating one, they'll all start to vibrate together. They'll start to, even without playing them, they'll start to resonate with each other. And when there's something out of resonance, it creates a funky shift that you can feel. So yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah, I hope that made sense to everybody.
Yeah, so we have a question here. They're asking about your other book, Unlock Your Success Codes. Could you tell us what that's all about?
It's all about the process that I talked about, subconscious success repatterning. It talks a little bit about my history and how I came into being aware that I even had a special process that was helping me to navigate my own traumas and life wipeouts. I call it the Etch-a-Sketch, where everything gets shaken up and there's like nothing left.
Take it away.
All blank slate. To how to navigate that. And so it's really all about that, and it talks about the process.
And I like that you put that in there because that's that playful part of us again, right? Shake it away and then start again, And I think that's what the Tea Party is based on too, is getting that little child inside of you, that little inner person that just wants to dress up and be funky and, and have fun with life.
That is such a healing experience to be able to play.
Yeah.
It's really important.
And I think it's important as adults that we still play.
Oh, absolutely.
We just because we become adults doesn't mean we don't play.
Helps to be around kids.
Yeah. So someone is making fun of me over here. The serenity. I can't say it right. Sovereignty. Mm-hmm. If you could share a little bit more on that, since Miss Liz can't say it.
Well, I mean, sovereignty has a bit of a, not maybe the best history as far as the etymology of the word, because it, meant you're a queen and you're in charge, and there's not necessarily the best history there with colonialism. But inalienable sovereignty, it's like that sense of really having permission from Creator to treat your life in a sacred way and honor exactly those instructions. And when you really tap into that and become aware of it and become empowered to follow that, nothing else can have power over you. And then you are truly sovereign. And then the universe is truly at your back and there to serve you and give you what you need to fulfill your life calling.
And we have one more question here. What is your super senses?
What are the super senses? Yeah, we kind of talked about them before. So as I was mentioning, we have 5 senses that we're aware of. Sometimes we are aware of the 6th sense, but we're actually multidimensional beings. And gosh, how far should I go down the rabbit hole with this one?
We can go deep. We got a few more minutes here.
Okay, if you go back to Roman times, the Romans created a schooling system that was meant to subjugate the people that they were conquering. And that schooling system has been adopted by us, by Australia, by Europe, all over the place. The modern schooling system is a system to basically create people who are easy to control, easy to manipulate, and it doesn't really honor the uniqueness of each person. Okay. The English language was created to disconnect us from our magical selves. So I talked about these indigenous cultures that have up to like 23 senses that they work with. It's woven into their language. And if you've ever learned another language, especially if it's not, if it's something like that works with symbols, it's very different from English. Your brain works completely differently. And the English language has been created to disconnect us from our awareness and a constant remembering of our actual true human potential and power. So we've also been disconnected from awareness of our senses. And the more you start to even just be curious, like, what is a super sense? What is supervision? What is super hearing? The more you get curious, it's like those little antennas start to wake up and like, I don't know, let's find out. What is it? What would it be like if I was clairaudient, meaning I could hear beyond just the regular hearing? What would it be like if I was clairvoyant? What would it be like if I was psychic? When you open up your mind like that, it starts to create an opening where some of that can start returning to you. And so super senses are the ones that are existing beyond the 5, beyond the 6 even, and they're available. All that information's there. It's just a matter of tuning into it and being aware of where we've blocked ourselves from it in our consciousness and unblocking that so that we can start to have access to it. And I'm still doing it myself, and the more I do it, the more intuitive, I'll say something, I'll quote something will come out of my mouth. I don't even know why I'm saying it. Somebody's like, wow, why did you say that? That was perfect. Or, hey babe, let's walk to the store right now and guess who we bump into, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So it's almost like your senses is saying you go for that walk.
Yeah. Those super senses are a part of tuning into your higher self and that living wisdom.
So Amanda, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, how could they reach you?
You can send me a personal message on at Amanda Elo'esh. It's right there on the screen, amandaeloesh@gmail.com. You can check me out on my website, which is amandaeloesh.com, or you can send me a message on Instagram, which is instagram.com/AmandaElo'esh.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for joining me tonight on Tea Time and sharing all of this incredible information. It was so educational, and there were some words that you even got me on where I couldn't even mention it. So, and I'm guessing one of this viewer knows me and is picking on me. So, I that's okay. Miss Liz likes to be picked on.
The older I get, the more I get tongue-tied myself. So I totally understand. Not all those words slip off the tongue so easily. I had to practice them too.
Yeah. So I want to thank you again, Amanda, for joining me. I want to thank all the viewers and supporters, all the amazing questions that came in tonight and all of the comments that were shared. Thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to Jackie Zocola, who has given me Amanda tonight. Check her out, the Amazon network. She has amazing women that are connected on there. So many amazing people. So check Jacqueline out as well. So a huge thank you to Jacqueline Zakora for that.
Yes.
And a huge thank you to Amanda for showing up and sharing a good old strong cup of tea, because that's what we do here on Tea
This is
Time.
my, look
So
how big
we
that mug is.
back on Thursday with 3 new tea times in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, because that's how we roll here on Tea Time. So if you'd like to know more about Tea Time, check out Miss Liz's Facebook page or check out my website at www.misslizsteatimes.com. It's all there. So until then, I will wish everyone a good night, and I will see everybody Thursday morning, 10 a.m., for a tea from Kenya.
Beautiful. Thank you.